Okay, hi everyone, my name's Katan. Basically, we began the movement for occupations, for the emergency general meeting, as soon as Israel launched its tank invasion and its bombing of Gaza. We noticed that Manchester University had links with Israeli companies and, most importantly, with companies which supply arms to Israel who have profited directly from what's happened within Gaza. So we decided that as a result of this and a result of the British government's support for Israel, we decided that people in this country have to do something. People in this country have to make a stand, that we can't just ignore Gaza's cries. So we organised the emergency general meeting, had around 500 people there. The emergency general meeting was then undemocratically dissolved. The night before the emergency general meeting, all criticism of anti-Semitism was, according to the council, all criticism of the State of Israel was deemed anti-Semitic. Now, we don't think we're anti-Semitic in the slightest. We are an anti-racist organisation. Criticising 300 children being killed isn't anti-Semitic. After the emergency general meeting, because of the way it was dissolved, because of the way it was handled by the chair of council, there was a lot of anger by students, and they decided that they would take their anger directly to Alan Gilbert, because we no longer had representation at the highest levels of our union. We took our anger to Alan Gilbert. We went into his office directly, around 250 to 300 of us. We then presented him with our demands, which were democratically discussed out. Alan Gilbert immediately said pretty much that he wasn't even going to be prepared to negotiate. He said straight away that a number of our demands he would refuse to engage in. We said to him, well, if that was the case, then we were going to stay the night. We stayed the night. We've had, it's unbelievable the amount of support we've had. We've had donations of food, donations of money, of blankets. Students have come in and out continually showing their solidarity and support. The day afterwards, we asked Alan Gilbert for a meeting, which he then refused to attend. We sent him an email, which he refused to reply to. He then said we all had to get out, otherwise action would be taken against us. Despite him saying the day beforehand that we would be allowed to come and go and bring food and water in and out, he then closed off all the doors and said that as far as he was concerned, it didn't really matter if we didn't have any food. We think this is outrageous. It's a basic right to political protest. We should be allowed food at the end of the day. After that, a few people were then physically thrown out of the building, which obviously disgusted people. There was demonstrations up until 11 o'clock in the evening to try and allow food and water in. People then decided that in response to Alan Gilbert's escalation, that because none of our demands had been met, we would then also, we wouldn't back down, and none of our demands had been met. We have just demands. We then decided to occupy, in addition to the John Owens building, the postal room, which is obviously quite an important place for the university. We occupied there. Alan Gilbert then called the police. We said, look, we're not having any type of confrontation. This is entirely non-violent, which he accepted. He said we hadn't been violent. However, the police then threatened people. Alan Gilbert then said, right, straight away, he then closed off all food and water again, despite knowing that no one had any type of access to the building. He knew in addition to this that all we wanted was to talk to him, but he refused to talk to us. He was forcing us into a box. That's what he was doing. After this, the next day, he then said that not only could we not have any food and water, he then sent messages out saying that it was a high likelihood that students were going to be expelled, and it was notes saying we were breaking university regulations. We then decided that what we would do, we would all get together, we all had a march. There was a big march outside where we were. We had another march in which we marched into this building here, the engineering building, the Simon building. We then engaged in another occupation, which is where we are at the moment. There was a huge protest outside here last night to show support with us, again up until the late hours. We woke up this morning. Alan Gilbert again is refusing to reply to any of our communications. So we've all democratically decided that at the moment, while we're getting enough food and water in, we're not going to accept him just ignoring students' wishes. We must have adequate representation. Demands for scholarships, demands for fundraising for people who've had their houses knocked down by the Israeli army, demands that this university shouldn't fund weapons companies. These aren't extremist demands. They're not radical. They're just basic things that I think a lot of people can actually agree with. So what we're going to continue to do, we're going to stay in here for as long as possible while we have students here who want to stay, while there are students on the outside who continue to support us. We're going to stay here until we get our demands. And we'd invite you all to come down, show us some support, sign our petitions which are on the internet, come and join us. If you can get in, then please come and join us. We welcome all your support. And please, this isn't just us here, it's a movement sweeping the country, and if you can be involved in this movement, if you can help people of Gaza, and if you can make the British government and people here at this university take notice of what is happening, then that's only going to be a good thing, and all we want is progressive policy at this university.